Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question. Someone who's been a fettler, a farmer, a fuel distributor and obviously a big supporter of the free trade agreement. It would make sense that he would, because in his seat, Mr Speaker, we have 2PH, which is one of the largest privately owned orchards in the Southern Hemisphere. They grow mandarins, lemons, table grapes. They now have around 300,000 citrus trees, 550 acres under table grapes. They export 30% of all production to China in their most lucrative market. In peak season, they employ up to 400 people. Craig Presler of 2PH rang our office today and he said, and I quote, "Tell them if they keep," and then a very unparliamentary word ending in ing, around with the China Free Trade Agreement, they will wreck it. We stand to lose our market share to Chile. And you can quote me on that. Well, Mr Presler, we just have. And it's not merely in the billions in reductions of tariffs over the life of the FTA with China. It is also the sentiment that we would go through a process over a decade, a process supported by both sides of this parliament, and then at the behest of the child of the BLF, the CFMEU, put at risk all the work and the obvious benefits of this trade deal with our biggest agricultural market. If you're asking about jobs, well, Mr Speaker, there are 220,000 people that work in the food processing sector in our nation.
Member for Corangamite.
And this deal creates even more jobs. There are an additional 300,000, Mr Speaker, in agriculture, forestry and fishing, and this agreement will create more jobs. It would not be surprising that when I go to South Australia, they say that the transition from car manufacturing to food manufacturing is one of the opportunities for their workers. And who proposes this very logical thesis? Well, the State Labor Party. In Queensland, they are concerned about the downturn in mining. And where do they believe new jobs will be? Well, it's in agriculture. And what underpins about 70% of our agriculture? Exports. And who is our biggest market for exports? China. So you don't have to be Pythagoras to work out where our advantage is. It's about economics. Deals that allows our nation the access to $120 billion of rural imports that flow into China each year. We need only glance across the Tasman and note that New Zealand's trade agreement with China and agriculture has increased from $1 billion in 2008, when they signed the FTA, to about $6.7 billion today, over a six-fold increase. So, Mr Speaker, I hope that we don't have folly trumping what is an obvious deal for our nation.